Now that we had the 55 Coyote-Bird running and driving and all the holes drilled and all the wiring done and all the systems in working order, it was time to take the car apart so that we could paint all the things we had modified and generally clean up some of the work that previous shops had not done so nicely on the car. We'd done a lot of modifications to the car to make the Coyote motor fit. It included moving the brakes around and changing the firewall and changing the frame, so we needed to make sure we could get to all those items to paint them and make them look nice again. Basically, we removed all the interior components and the wiring harness so that we could remove the body and install it on a rotisserie. Installing a 55 to 57 Thunderbird on a rotisserie is a bit of a challenge because the body is one piece from the header panel to the tail panel. There are no seams to take the front fenders off. So what we had done is we had John make a special bracket to install the Thunderbird on a rotisserie and eliminate the potential for bending the front fenders from the car's weight. Once we had the Coyote-Bird on the rotisserie, we turned our attention to removing a bunch of the original undercoating that had been painted over, as well as cleaning up the welds where we'd patched the floor, and we turned our attention to the trunk floor, which had been very poorly repaired by a previous shop. John used an English wheel to make new perimeter pieces for the trunk floor and also allow a flat surface to mount the battery in the trunk. Once John had completed the floor repairs, we were able to paint and body schutz the other side of the car to protect it from any road debris and also keep the bottom side of the car looking nice. Once we had the frame painted, we were able to reinstall all the suspension components and install the drivetrain so that once the body was ready, we'd be able to just set it right onto the frame. Once we had finished with the bottom side of the car, Nathan was able to turn his attention to painting the engine bay, the interior, and the trunk floor. The reason we wanted to do this was to cover where we had made all sorts of modifications to the car and also just give it a nicer appearance than the bright red that everything had been painted before. After Nathan had completed the body and paint work, we were able to remove the body from the rotisserie so that we could reinstall it on the frame. Reinstalling the body on the frame is fairly easy as long as you've got enough people to ensure you don't run the body into the engine or transmission or any other components as you set it down. And that way you can also make sure that you set the car on the frame where it belongs so all the body mounts line up easily. For the interior, we used restoration parts from Larry's Thunderbird and Mustang. Some of these things included new door panels, door sills, carpeting, gauge faces, trim on the dash, all sorts of little things that really make the inside of the car look just as good as it did when it was new. Now that we have the car reassembled, the next step will be to road test the car and have it dyno tuned.